If you are anything like me and you're trying and failing to go over a pretty serious Margot Robbie crush, then this movie isn't going to do you any favours.
Hi boys!
If you're wondering why the delay in my Suicide Squad review, well, I recorded for maybe half an hour and I rambled and I talked about everything that I wanted to talk about, and then I loaded my SD card into my PC and realised I'd left the microphone off the entire time. So now I'm just going to try and remember what I said and try and rehash the things I said and hopefully get some kind of quality review out again. Suicide Squad is the latest entry in the DCCU and it has a rather unfortunate position of having to work as a standalone movie, but also to make up for all the hate levied at Batman vs Superman. And has it done that? Oh God no. Judging by the reactions that I've seen online, this seems to have split people 50-50 right down the middle. And I don't know what it is with these DC movies, but it seems to polarise people into two camps. Love it or hate it. No in between. Suicide Squad is a much more light-hearted affair than Batman vs Superman, and I'm wondering if it's maybe that shift in tone that's caused such aggravation, because a big trend that I'm seeing is people who like Batman vs Superman not liking Suicide Squad, and people who didn't like BVS really liking Suicide Squad. It's definitely not without its faults, but honestly, I for one actually enjoyed it. I mean, I went into Suicide Squad in a terrible mood, just completely down, and you know what, it cheered me right up, so take that how you will. Apart from maybe Batman, DC is definitely strongest in its villains, so a team up of villains seemed like a no-brainer. And for the most part, the Suicide Squad is a really good, cool group, and each individual member has their own unique strength and ability that makes them invaluable to the mission. Apart from Slipknot, who just kind of climb stuff. This is very much a character-driven movie, and if not well explained, they're definitely well cast. Will Smith especially stands out as Deadshot, because in a rare ensemble role, I don't really know how to say that in a Glasgow accent. Ensemble? In a rare ensemble role, he's able to take a step back and provide most of the laughs and the enjoyment, although in saying that, he is still kind of the biggest player in the team and does kind of carry the movie a little bit. The only other character on a par with him is Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, and she is amazing in the role, and she is everything that a Harley Quinn should be on film. Although, as I said before, I will watch anything with Margot Robbie in it. I mean, to be honest with you, I would watch Margot Robbie just reading out the audiobook version of Mein Kampf. Ooh, that's going to get me in trouble. Jai Courtney's Captain Boomerang is also another highlight, and I never thought I'd say this, but Jai Courtney actually has a personality. Who knew? The costumes of the characters are fantastic. When we first got set pics of Suicide Squad, I wasn't sold on Deadshot, especially after seeing Will Smith in that weird S&M cowboy look, but it really does work in the context of the film, and when he dons the mask and the full Deadshot gear, it's actually pretty cool. He even has the fully working wrist guns, which I never thought I'd see in the movie, and it must have been a nightmare for the props department to figure out how to make them work. Another look that I quite liked, and which brings us on to what was probably going to be the most divisive part of this movie, is Jared Leto's Joker. The Joker as a character was created in the early 40s, so at his inception he'd have been inspired by the mobsters and the gangsters of the 30s and 40s, and you can really see the parallels of this incarnation some 70 odd years later, where the flash and the swagger of Leto's Joker is clearly inspired by, you know, modern cartel bosses. His outfits are outlandish and full of bling, and all his guns and accessories etc. are all gold, and he looks like a very modern take on, you know, what would the Joker be if he was an actual gang boss. But all the design in the world can't fix a character if the actor underneath the makeup does a poor job. So how does Jared Leto hold up as the latest version of the Joker? Well, I'll be honest, I found it enjoyable but quite underwhelming. First of all, he is barely in the movie. The trailers almost made it out like he was the main villain, but in actual fact he's more of a distraction to the Suicide Squad and a catalyst for certain events. But that's actually okay, because this is the Suicide Squad movie and not a Batman movie. For the Joker to have a big role, you need need Batman to also have another big contribution, but you can't have Harley Quinn as one of your leads without explaining her backstory, and there's just no way to do that without interweaving it with that of the Joker. What I will say is that Jared Leto was very good in the role, but he's never quite as menacing or as frightening as Heath Ledger's take on it, and it's a shame that you just can't talk about this character without benchmarking every performance against those that came before it, because for me, Leto's Joker falls somewhere in between Heath Ledger's terrifying monster and Jack Nicholson's campy but dangerous mob boss. A big negative of Leto's performance as a Joker though is that there's points in this movie where I just cannot understand a word that he is saying, and I get that as an actor you have to show off how crazy you can be, but that doesn't mean that you need to sound like Jim Carrey tripping on LSD for the first time. I mean, have a listen to this.
Infamous Harley Quinn.
What?
On the only infamous Harley Quinn.
Now, while it's entirely up to you how you feel about an actor's performance or the interpretation of a certain character, there are parts of a film, of any movie, that aren't subjective and are quantifiable as either good or bad. And this is where I have to take my fan hat off and replace it with my critic's hat, because there are some really big letdowns in this movie. First of all, the plot is so muddled. There are parts of this movie that do not make sense, and it's quite clear that pretty big swathes of it have just been cut in order to get straight to the fun bits. There were reports coming out round about the release of this that David Ayer only had like 6 weeks to write the script, and that Warner Brothers were pretty heavy-handed in their approach to recuts and reshoots and things like that, and you know what? I can believe it. David Ayer's previously made films like Training Day, End of Watch, Fury, none of which are films that you consider to be poorly plotted or rushed, but in Suicide Squad it really feels like the rhythm is off. The editing is also all over the place, and again, it feels like a hell of a lot was cut out in order to get straight to the action. But also the pacing is just, I don't know, really bad. It feels like a bunch of montages or music videos have been spliced together and put through an Instagram filter called Edgy, and then there's your movie. I think, and this is just my opinion, but this is what I believe happened with Suicide Squad. They started off with an original vision for a movie and how they wanted that story to progress, but then Batman vs Superman came out and it got slaughtered in the reviews because of how dark it was, and as a result, the people behind Suicide Squad, or rather, the people behind the money behind Suicide Squad, scrambled to reshoot and recut what they already had, and in the process lost that original film in the edit. I would say that this is most obvious in the way that the film uses music, because it just kind of throws songs in, it just throws random pop songs in every 30 seconds for no real reason. It doesn't add anything to the moment other than a really false sense of energy that it doesn't earn. There's actually a hell of a lot more that I want to say about this, so maybe I'll upload a Suicide Squad review too, or a spoiler talk video or something like that. But for now, I'm just going to wrap it up because A, I can't be bothered reviewing a movie twice. I can't believe I left the microphone off first time. And second of all, I've been rambling for about 20 minutes now and I'm going to have to spend ages cutting this down. I'll summarise by saying that although it does have its massive glaring faults, I did genuinely enjoy it, and it is the closest thing I've ever seen to an actual comic book come to life. I'm going to give Suicide Squad 3 popcorns. I was nearly going to go 4 there, but nah. It is a step forward for DC, but they're not quite there yet. My last piece of advice though, make sure you stick around for a mid-credit scene, as it is pretty important, but it also ties up a few thoughts that I'd had during the movie. And also stick around for the end of the scroll credits. There's no scene that plays afterwards, but loads of people left behind their sweets and their popcorn, and why would you want to skip out on such a good deal? Thank you very much for watching my review of Suicide Squad. If you like this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. And if you and your friends are thinking of going to see this movie, then why not share this review with them and maybe it'll help. You can click the pictures below for my 2 latest reviews, or you can subscribe to keep up with my content as I put them out. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.